I was supposed to be the villain in some trashy romance novel. That was the deal: play the evil husband, cling to my cold CEO wife, act outrageously jealous and controlling until she couldn't stand the sight of me, and then walk away with a $100 million payout. Easy, right? I never expected things to go completely off the rails just as I was nearing the end of my mission. 3 years of pure dedication, pretending to be the most unbearable man alive, all while Sarah, my wife, stayed distant, cold, still clearly hung up on her old flame Chris. That was how it was supposed to go, and I played my part with Oscar-worthy commitment. Every tantrum, every scene of jealousy, every perfectly timed emotional manipulation, I gave it everything, until Sarah changed. It started 3 days before Chris came back to town. Sarah had gone on a hike, slipped, hit her head, and fell into a coma. When she woke up, it was like someone had flipped a switch in her brain. She came home and burned every trace of Chris. The same woman who used to worship the memory of her ex now seemed totally indifferent, like she had moved on. And then things got even weirder. I barged into a private restaurant room where Sarah was having dinner with Chris. Without skipping a beat, I grabbed a glass of wine and threw it in his face. The old Sarah would have lost it. She would have demanded a divorce on the spot. That was the plan. But instead, she calmly pulled Chris aside, cleaned him up, and came back with this look on her face that I couldn't read. I stuck to the script: arrogant, sarcastic, dismissive. It's not like I actually hurt him. Was all this drama really necessary, Sarah? I sneered, arms crossed. She just looked at me quietly and then smiled. Not cold, not annoyed, but warm. I love you, she said, wrapping her arms around me. What? That wasn't in the script. In my head, I was panicking. What are you doing? Just slap me with those divorce papers already. You and Chris can go live your fairy tale. Just don't mess with my payday. But instead, she held me tighter, giggled, called me handsome, said she wanted us to stay together forever. What was happening? The more I tried to act like a monster, the more she adored me. The more I pushed her away, the closer she came. It was like she knew exactly what I was thinking. At one point, after she kissed me, she whispered, "You're thinking too loud." My heart stopped. Was she reading my mind? I tried to make sense of it. Maybe the fall scrambled her brain. Maybe she was having a breakdown. But the timing felt too perfect. This wasn't the same Sarah. She seemed to know every thought before I could even speak it. When Chris showed up again, I kissed Sarah right in front of him, fully expecting her to pull away, maybe slap me, maybe go running back into his arms. That was supposed to be her moment to choose him, but she looked him straight in the eye and said, "I'm not interested in leftovers, Chris. Please have some self-respect." I froze. How had this plot gone so completely off the rails? She was supposed to hate me, love him, and run back to him. Instead, she clung to me, flirted, whispered I was the only man for her. She even defended me in front of their old friends. I wanted to scream, "Please just pick him and let me go. I've done my part." Chris tried one last time. "Sarah, please, just one more chance. I never stopped loving you." But Sarah just looked at him, calm and steady. "When I needed you, you weren't there. Jake was." Then she turned and walked away with me, her hand locked tightly in mine. I couldn't breathe. The mission, the entire arc, was spiraling out of control. I was supposed to be the villain, the foil, the one who gets dumped, not this. At one point, she even started getting handsy in the car, giggling like we were on our honeymoon. It was surreal. This was the same woman who used to treat me like I was dirt. Now she was stroking my chest and whispering sweet nothings while I was internally screaming, "Abort, abort." Even when I tried to confront her with logic: "You hit your head, remember? The doctor said you need rest." She just smiled. "I'm fine," she said. "I know exactly what I'm doing." Maybe she did. The next day at her company, I ran into Chris. He tried provoking me, saying I looked like him, implying I was just a stand-in. I snapped, grabbing his collar, playing the scene. Then Sarah walked in. Chris went full drama mode, stumbling, crashing into tables, even managing to draw blood. What a show! Sarah looked between us, and I waited for her to choose, but she only looked at Chris and said, "What's going on here?" Like he was nothing, like I was everything. And that scared me more than anything, because somewhere along the way, the lines blurred. I didn't know what was real anymore or what Sarah actually saw in me. I had no idea how this story was going to end. "Sarah, it was my fault," I said quickly. I was clumsy. It had nothing to do with anyone else. I knew my cue. I put on a stern face and shoved Chris back a step. What, Sarah? Feeling sorry for him now? If I catch you bothering my wife again, I'll beat you up every time I see you. Tears welled in Chris's eyes. His fists clenched. He looked so pitiful, even I thought Sarah might crack. Surely this was it. She'd tear into me for bullying her precious Chris, but instead, Sarah gave a subtle nod. Her assistant stepped in and helped Chris up, and then, to my complete shock, Sarah wrapped her arm around mine and said, affectionately, whatever my husband says. Both Chris and I just stood there stunned. Chris clearly wasn't done. As the assistant tried to guide him out, he looked reluctant, like something clicked in his head. He suddenly grabbed Sarah's sleeve, his expression full of pain. Sarah, I came back this time because I needed to tell you. I have stomach cancer. The doctors say I've got 3 months. At most, terminal illness. Classic, definitely fake, but a good move. This had to tug at Sarah's heartstrings, right? She froze. Just for a second. Really? Chris gave a bitter smile and nodded. Look at me. I'm so thin. I chimed in helpfully. I can vouch for that. One push and he goes down. Sarah shot me an unreadable look. I cleared my throat and jumped on the perfect excuse to get out of there. Well, in that case, I'm not a complete jerk. You two should talk. I've got things to do, so I'll head out. Internally, I was ecstatic. Finally, alone time. Go win her over, Chris. Waiting for those divorce papers. $100 million. Here I come. Chris didn't disappoint. The next day, a video of him and Sarah returning to an apartment together went viral. Sarah, the glamorous CEO, had always been a favorite on social media. Her childhood sweetheart story with Chris, the love that never was tabloid gold. Not just that videos of me splashing wine on Chris at the club, of me shoving him at the office were all over the internet. Reporters camped outside my house. When I stepped out, they swarmed me. Mr. Mitchell, do you have any comment on Miss Davis and Chris Walker? One asked. I played my role to perfection, sounding bitter, betrayed, an affair during marriage, and someone knowingly being the other person. What's there to say? Another reporter pressed, but I heard you used underhanded tactics to marry Miss Davis in the first place. Now her true love is back. They look great together. Emotionally blackmailing Miss Davis into staying with you is a bit much, don't you think? My face stayed blank, but inside, I gave her a little thumbs up back when Sarah was drowning in problems when her family's business was failing. Chris abandoned her. I snapped. Left her high and dry. Everyone in our circle knows that. You don't, she hesitated for a moment, thrown off, but asked again. It's common knowledge that you and Miss Davis don't have a good relationship. You never even spend anniversaries together. Why would you want to maintain such a marriage in name only? I don't want to. I screamed inside, but on the surface, I just scoffed, turned, and walked away, projecting the image of a stubborn, lonely man. Clips from the interview went viral. I got trashed online. This guy is disgusting. He clearly took advantage of her when she was vulnerable, tricked her into marriage, and now he's acting like the victim. He's nothing compared to Chris. From head to toe, Chris is Sarah's one true love. Why hasn't Sarah spoken up yet? I want to see her put him in his place. Things are this messy and he still won't agree to a divorce? He's just after her money. I scrolled through comment after comment attacking me. It stung, but my feelings were complicated. Thinking back on the past 3 years, I really had done everything for Sarah. If she didn't want to go on a date, I'd still show up early and wait outside her office. If she got drunk, I was her driver. On our anniversaries, when she always arranged business trips to avoid me, I'd fly out, wait around, get a quick dinner with her, then fly back early the next morning. If I didn't know the full story, this would actually be heartbreaking. But now, this was it. According to the novel's plot, my character was supposed to get publicly shamed as Sarah and Chris reunite. I tried to manipulate public opinion, get dragged online, and make a bleak exit. Right on track. The more despicable I looked, the more people sympathized with Chris. Perfect. Then Sarah called. She asked cautiously, "Are you upset about all the negative press?" I sniffled, then growled, "Sarah, cut the act. Let me tell you, so long as I'm around, Chris Walker will never be anything more than a sleazy hidden affair." I could hear Chris's voice in the background. "Sarah, just being here with you like this is enough for me." Another wave of excitement. "That's it, Chris. Good boy. Sarah, hurry up and divorce me already. 100 million just a signature away. Suddenly, Sarah got angry. Her voice rose. Say that again. I hung up without hesitation. Let her stew. She'd be mad. She'd divorce me. Perfect. But 3 days passed. No divorce. She didn't even come home. Chris wasn't doing enough. I had to step in. An idea hit me. I created a new social media account and posted 3 ridiculous messages. All right, people, it's me, Jake Mitchell. Line up if you want to bash me. You think your online pylon is going to scare me? True love, my ass. I'm sticking with Sarah Davis for life. Let's see who breaks first. Haha, Sarah, you want to ride off into the sunset with Chris? Dream on. Chris Walker's a parasite. Drop it already. It instantly turned into a firestorm. My phone number got leaked. Harassing calls and texts flooded in. I switched to airplane mode and missed Sarah's big announcement. Early the next morning, the house phone rang. It was her assistant, Mr. Mitchell. Check the trending topics. Immediately, I opened social media. Sarah had posted an ultrasound photo. The caption, "My husband's just scared of losing me. That's why he's acting out online. Please bear with him. We're doing great and we'll be welcoming a new life together. We will absolutely not be divorcing. Please show some respect and stop spreading rumors. Otherwise, I won't hesitate to take legal action." Boom! The internet exploded. Sarah Davis pregnant with my baby. No one saw it coming. The woman who used to post nostalgic quotes about her first love was now publicly declaring her love for me. And a baby. So Chris was the other man. He was the manipulative one, the villain. People started switching sides fast. Well, show's over, folks. The one that got away turned out to be a dud. The second lead gets the girl happy ending. He played us. We thought he was a clown. He's been the real hero all along. I was thrown. This twist wasn't in the book. I rushed to Sarah's office. She was calm, reviewing documents. She looked up and said, "No need to thank me. We're family. It's what I should do." I could barely breathe. "Thank you." My ass. Divorce. I want a divorce. What's this about a baby? Aside from her recent weird behavior, we hadn't even touched each other in 3 years. There's no way she was pregnant. She smiled, tilting her head. Just because there isn't one now, doesn't mean there won't be one later. Haven't you always said you wanted to have a baby with me? I was speechless. I was just acting like a possessive villain. She couldn't seriously believe this. She walked over and caressed my face gently. "Honey, I know I was wrong. You've always been good to me. From now on, I'll love you as much as you've loved me. I'll protect you. You're not allowed to go anywhere." On the outside, I looked touched. "Sweetheart, I finally waited long enough for you." Inside, full panic mode. Sarah's in love with me. Sarah's actually in love with me. What do I do? Is my $100 million just gone? Just then, a commotion broke out at the door. Chris shoved past the assistant and barged in. "You wouldn't see me, so I had to invite myself." Sarah didn't even flinch. "Done faking your terminal illness?" she said flatly. Sigh. If this guy had even half my acting skills, he'd have won her by now. My assistant and I quietly stepped out, but I stuck around at the door to eavesdrop. Chris lowered his head, voice tight. "I was wrong to lie, but I only did it because I love you. Are you really having Jake's baby? Didn't you love me most, Sarah?" Sarah's voice turned to ice. "I believe I made myself clear. I love my husband. I'm willing to have a child with him. Your actions have made me angry, especially the reporters slandering him. If not for old time's sake, you wouldn't even be here right now." Chris looked shattered. "Sarah, is that really how you see me?" he asked. He forced a bitter smile. "You've changed so much. You actually believe Jake, don't you? Know what kind of person he is. He's targeting me. He's using you." Chris wasn't wrong. Sarah's character arc originally said she'd trust Chris unconditionally and hate me, but now she defended me every time. "Are you finished?" Sarah asked coldly. She pulled out a checkbook, wrote a check, and slid it across the table. "You think I don't know your little schemes? You abandoned me when my family business was crumbling. Now you want to profit from my success? Life doesn't work that way. Take this $5 million and get out." Wait. That $5 million was supposed to be what Sarah gave me when we divorced. I was the one meant to be told to get out, not Chris. Chris hesitated, then ripped the check in half. "It's okay. If you don't believe me, Sarah, I have a way to make you believe me." And with that, He stormed toward the door. I didn't even have time to move before we collided. Chris glared at me, eyes red with frustration, then turned and walked away. Before I could say anything, a moment later, Sarah's assistant burst in panicked. "This is bad. Mr. Walker is on the roof. He says he's going to jump." To prove his sincerity, Sarah and I ran as fast as we could. When we reached the rooftop, Chris was already standing on the edge, looking like he'd given up on life. A crowd had gathered below, staring up in alarm. Sarah's face was tense. Her voice was urgent as she pleaded with him not to be reckless, to talk it through. I was already furious. His poor acting had thrown everything off course, and now this dramatic stunt. Wasn't this only going to push Sarah further away? While he played the tragic victim, I marched up, grabbed him by the collar, and yanked him away from the edge. Then, without thinking, I punched him hard. Every ounce of frustration from the past few weeks was behind it. What the hell are you trying to pull? Self-pity? Sympathy? This is pathetic. You suck, man. I can't carry you through this plot. I gave you so many chances. Why can't you just get it right? Great. Now my $100 million is going up in smoke. All your fault, you absolute jinx. Security rushed in and separated us. We both ended up at the hospital, getting bandaged, shooting death glares at each other across the room. Chris hadn't actually wanted to die. Obviously, just another stunt. As I sat there brooding, I remembered surmising. The system had once told me if the story ever went completely off track, there was a last resort: fake my death. If my part ended that way, the mission would be considered complete. Sarah was fussing over me, clearly worried. Chris, unable to handle the sight, cradled his arm and slunk out. I chased after him. "Hey," I called out. He turned, surprised. "How about we team up?" Honestly, I had no choice. I had to carry this whole plot. The next day, Sarah got a call. Chris and I had both been kidnapped. We had hired the kidnappers, of course. Everything was going according to plan. Even Chris, though still skeptical, played along. "She's not going to save me," he muttered. "I don't even see the point of this." "That's why you'll never win her heart," I said flatly. "I'm your only hope now." Truthfully, it was all part of my grand finale, faking my death. If I vanished, Chris and Sarah could finally have their reunion. I'd be free. Sarah showed up, visibly shaken. "Let them go," she demanded. "I'll agree to any conditions." The lead kidnapper, sticking to the script, replied, "Sorry, Miss Davis, you can only save one of them." "Choose what?" "That's not what you said on the phone." Sarah's voice cracked. "Enough talking," the kidnapper snapped. "If you don't decide, we kill them both." Sarah froze, clearly struggling. I looked at Chris. He got the cue. With his best tragic expression, he said softly, "Sarah, I know you won't pick me. Let me be the one to die. I wish you and Jake happiness." He even managed to squeeze out a tear. Not bad, honestly. When it came to playing the victim, Chris was elite. Then the kidnapper turned to me. "Mr. Mitchell, any last words?" Sarah stared at me. I gave her a small smile. "Sarah, I'm afraid I can't stay with you anymore. Goodbye." Suddenly, the entire warehouse shook violently. Perfect timing. The building's collapsing. "Run!" the kidnapper yelled. Sarah grabbed my hand, trying to pull me out. Chris followed behind. But just as we reached the doorway, I pulled my hand away, shoved Chris forward, and let myself disappear into the falling debris. The last thing I heard was Sarah's anguished scream. Jake, of course. I wasn't dead. I'd picked that warehouse carefully. I'd planted small explosives under the floor to make it unstable near the entrance. I'd built a hidden tunnel. It looked like I'd been buried, but I'd slipped away. When I got out, I threw my head back and laughed to the sky. "I'm free." The system's voice chimed in right on cue. "Host, are you happy?" I jumped, startled, then cursed. "You damn system. Took you long enough. Transfer my money. Already in your account," it replied calmly. "But you haven't answered the question." Of course I'm happy. I'm done with this cheesy story. Do you know how hard these 3 years have been? Still, deep down, I felt a small pang of guilt. I had deceived Sarah. I'd chosen money over her, but I brushed it off. Anyone in my position would have made the same choice. Sarah had probably already gone back to Chris. I enjoyed a brief period of total freedom. To make a clean break, I told the system not to tell me anything about Sarah or Chris. One day, though, the system got cheeky again. "Host," it asked, "do you think Sarah is the type to give up easily?" I shook my head. If she gave up easily, she wouldn't have pinned for Chris for years. Wait, was that a hint? You're overthinking it, the system replied. I leaned back in my rocking chair. My death was flawless, even if Sarah suspected where. Would she find me? Just then, a voice behind me said, Jake, you were hard to find. I screamed and fell out of my chair. What the hell? System, why didn't you warn me? You told me not to say anything, the system said innocently. After the accident, Sarah never found your body. She's been searching ever since. Sarah stood over me, calm, smiling. What do I do? What do I do? I panicked. Is this karma for my past life? I tried to pretend I didn't know her. Maybe she'd think I was a look-alike. But before I could speak, she pressed a finger to my lips. Don't bother pretending, she said. I'd recognize you, even if you were ashes. How? She straightened up. After I hit my head during that hike, I gained the ability to read minds. Jake, stop the internal monologue, it's loud. I stared. No way! Say that again, she warned me, her face darkening. Okay, fine. She could really read minds. She'd heard everything, every sneaky thought, all of it. This was beyond embarrassing. I have a question, I mumbled. How did you suddenly fall in love with me? It's not just because you enjoy eavesdropping on my thoughts, is it? She answered slowly. While I was in a coma, I had a dream. In it, I ignored your warnings about Chris. I ended up with him, and he used me, partied, cheated, and in the end, he and his lover killed me. She paused. After I died, you were the only one who visited my grave every year. And then, when I woke up, things started happening exactly like the dream. I realized it wasn't a dream. It was my past life. She reached for my face, cupping it gently. Jake, you're the one I should have loved all along, I roared. Internally, system, what is happening? Her version of the plot is completely different. The system is gone, Sarah said, still smiling. I told it to leave. I know just as much as you now. You can't fool me. I scratched my head, nervous. But I'm just the villain. You're supposed to be with Chris. My life isn't written by someone else, she whispered. I fell for you a long time ago, Jake. You're my only leading man. Then she added with a teasing smile. Besides, it's just 100 million. I can give you double. The sun was shining. Her smile was dazzling. And like a fool, I nodded. How could I say no to 200 million? Sarah leaned her head on my shoulder. If you run again, she warned, I won't be so nice. My internal ranting started up again. She gritted her teeth. Are you cursing me in your head again? Oops. I quickly started reciting Twinkle Twinkle Little Star over and over. By the 50th repetition, she finally snapped. If you sing that one more time. Then she kissed me. Afterward, she whispered, let's have a baby. And later, we did. A beautiful daughter. Sometimes I still worry. What if the system returns and tells me I don't belong in this world? What if I disappear? Sarah, reading my thoughts, would always say, don't worry, honey. No matter where you go, I'll find you. Even if it's not in this world, I'll be right here, waiting for you. You'll know me right away. And somehow, I believed her.